Good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio. I'm Linda, and joining me on the show tonight is Juicy and AK. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Juicy. Good evening, everyone.
How are you, Juicy?
Well, aside from the football at the weekend, I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking.
And AK, have you recovered from those that post-match show on Saturday?
Not quite. No, my ears are still ringing. But again, thanks for asking. But move on.
Good one, Alex. Good one. Well, we're not going to dwell too much on the game at the weekend because, the European season is upon us immediately. We've got a big game tomorrow night, only our second competitive game of the new season. So we'll need to be building up to that. But I'll get some thoughts from you, Juicy. I know you might need some therapy after it, but just give us some thoughts on the game at the weekend.
Well, one thing that everyone was talking about in pre-season was our lack of width, and that was very, very noticeable at the weekend. I said last week that I thought this would be a relatively straightforward win for us. I didn't think it would be easy, but I thought our technical skill would see us win by a couple of goals in the end. I never thought it would be a great match, one that you just quickly forget about, which most of our victories at Kilmarnock have been like over the years. Aside from that one season when we won the title there, it was some of the best football I've seen the Rangers team play. But this was terrible. There was no real cohesiveness. A team in Kilmarnock that had 8 brand new players outfought us and outmuscled us in the main. And they didn't have many chances, but they took their chance. And that is what a lot of away matches are like in the Scottish Premiership. And our new guys have got to be tuned into that now, because there'll be plenty more tough games where there'll only be 1 or 2 goals in it. And we need to make sure we come out on the right end, because the opportunities are not going to be, vast to seize the moment in this league, and we have to win every game now. That's how tight it's going to be again.
Yeah. And AK, there just isn't any room for error. We've put ourselves under pressure right away. I don't know about you, Alex, but for me, it was the manner in which we played. It was almost a shock. You can lose a game of football at any time, AK, and but see if a team hit, if we have right on the front foot, we maybe hit the bar, hit the post, their goalie's the man of the match, and you lose to some sort of wonder goal. You can just about, move on from that. But I don't know, it was the manner in which we played, Alex, that shocked me a wee bit.
It was, pal, and it's a good summation of, we're just used to our club being successful, and that's the first time in, I believe, 25 years, from 1998 when Dick Advocat came into Rangers, and obviously he's had a massive clear out for the year before, so that's understandable to an extent. But Bale's been over 6 months in the job, so it shouldn't have been a shock to the system for him, or at least half our team. So I think that's where the shock comes from. But as we've seen last year, Gio got us to a European final and also won us a Scottish Cup. 3 drop points to Livingston, St Johnstone, St Mirren. He was no longer in a job. Mr Bale's put himself under serious amount of pressure, but it's up to him to show character, the players to show character, dust themselves off and come back and give us a performance, a winning performance against Servette on Wednesday night.
Yeah. And Juicy, because Michael Beale's been here before, it shouldn't have been a surprise to him how Kilmarnock would play, whether it was under the previous manager, Stevie Clark, whether it's under Derek McInnes. It shouldn't really matter. I think we're all of opinion that we're Rangers. We should be able to turn up and win a game of football. And I wasn't expecting it to be a silky performance, just like yourself. I thought it would have been a tough game. You saw the pitch as well. You don't want to use that as an excuse, but you just thought, just go out and win a game of football. That's all we were really looking for, Juicy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't looking for an outstanding performance. I was looking out for a down and dirty, grubby Bridgeman 1-0. And that would have been great. But analysing the pre-season form as well, going into this match, you start to worry because we didn't really score many goals from open play. We only scored 1 or 2, didn't we, in the whole of the pre-season matches in open play. There was set-piece goals, yes, but it wasn't like free-flowing football, which we've seen in previous pre-seasons, where you can get a little bit excited about the season to come. So I have concerns. I know there's a lot of new players there, some of which have only just got into the team. And this is always a really good time of the season to play Rangers, isn't it? Because we have so many important matches so soon that if we're not on it, you've seen what happens. And my concern now is tomorrow night we have a massive game against a team that is much better than Kilmarnock. So they have to be ready for it. If not, it's Europa League for us.
Yeah, and I suppose the players will need to just, park that game from the weekend. I mean, we're not asking them to dwell on it. We're trying to forget it, let's face it. But it's a massive game tomorrow night against a team that we've never played before in Europe, but they've just come off of the back of a brilliant result against Genk, who were probably maybe the favourites for that tie, Alex. But an absolutely amazing, great performance from that team to get through.
I watched both legs of that game myself, Linda, just to see what both teams were kind of setting up like and who was going to be our potential opponents. And to be fair, I thought Genk, played very well over the 2 legs. But the gritty determination, the resolute defence that Servette put up against, they were 1-0 down at home and they came back strong the last 20 minutes, half an hour. The crowd got really behind them. And towards the end of the first leg, Genk were actually holding on. It was them that was lucky. They came away with a draw. Yeah. But they go into the Genk match and they find themselves down to 10 men after just 5 minutes in the match. So they're really up against the cosh. They go 1-0 down. The home crowd's probably expecting a 2-3-4-0 victory after that. No, Servette came back again, equalised, went 2-1 down, equalised again, took it to extra time and won on penalties. So that tells me a lot about the character of that team. They've got some few standout individuals. They play as a team, as a unit, and they've got that, that grit and determination you need to progress through these rounds to go further. That's what we need. That's what we needed at Kilmarnock there, and it's up to these players now to find that and start playing to their potential and why they were brought to our club.
Yeah. And do you see Servette are already, I think, 3 games into their league season. Alex has obviously touched on the games there against Genk, so there are 5 competitive matches in. So that can make a difference in terms of your team and your team formation and your team gelling. But I don't think we'll underestimate them in any way, shape or form, do you see?
No, not at all. And they're sitting mid-table at the moment in the Swiss Premier League, and they had a 1-1 draw away at the weekend, and they had a 96th minute equaliser. So again, it shows you that they are a team that keeps pushing and they don't stop and they don't give up. And that's exactly what you'd want from a team, but maybe not on Wednesday night, because we need to play an open and expansive game of football, Linda. And what we need, which is what we were really lacking at the weekend, was a player like Yanis Hadji, a technical player who in a match like that on a big pitch can unlock a defence and create some opportunities for our forward players. That's what we were lacking, because we didn't create anything at the weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what sort of team he does put out tomorrow night. So guys, we're going to listen to the manager's presser from this afternoon, if that's okay with you, and we'll see if we get any hints in terms of what sort of team he's going to pick and how we're going to line up. So if you don't mind getting yourselves on mute, here's our manager, Michael Beale.
Michael, how big a selling point was the Champions League when you were speaking to the boys over the last couple of months? Was the Champions League one of the things that you can offer that other clubs perhaps couldn't offer them?
No, because we couldn't offer it So we can offer the qualifiers, of course, but we can offer group stage football. The ultimate aim is to get in the Champions League, but we know that we have to beat teams that are excellent sides, just like ourselves in their own national leagues, and that's what we're facing tomorrow in Servette, the team that finished second in their league and had a really strong league last year. So no, I think the European football, yeah, that's definitely something that someone would come for. But in terms of the competition, we can't specify unless we can win the league. And if we win the league, then obviously you're guaranteed it.
How big is experience for players in the Champions League, Michael? I mean, Ange Postecoglou used to talk about that. The more games you played at that level, the more you experienced it, the better you would get. Is that a big factor?
Well, when I was here previously, we'd played a lot of games in Europe. So forget what competition, we'd played a lot of games in Europe. And I think some of the players that got to the final, it was like their 60th game in Europe over 3 or 4 years because of the amount of qualifiers we played. So certainly that team was very experienced. The players that we brought in Danilo and Cyril Dessers and Sam Lammers, they've come from teams that play in European competition. They've played in European leagues as well. So they join a core group of players here that have got good experience at this level, certainly playing in knockout ties and in ties home and away in hostile environments. So you're hoping we'll put on that for sure.
Servette striker Chris Beddy has scored 3 and 3, one in the last round. How much of a danger is he to you tomorrow? Excellent on his left foot, quick, powerful. I watched both games with Genk and they showed a little bit of everything, Servette, and he was at the forefront. He's obviously lost his main partner for this game, but they've got other players as well. I like the 2 centre midfielders, 2 very good players. The boy playing off the right, Atunes, is a good player. The boy off the left is very direct and he's dribbling. We know enough about Servette to be fully aware of what strengths they've got, and he's just one of a few good players in their squad. You mentioned playing football this year in Europe in the group stages. What target has the board given you? Is it just to make Champions League or to keep going? No massive targets, nothing. I've not been sat down like the head teacher and told off in terms of what I've got to achieve and not. I think it comes par for the course with the club in terms of what you want to achieve domestically. And in Europe, the aim for every team that goes in Europe is to be still in Europe after Christmas, and that ain't changing here, and I'm not sure it will do at any point.
Michael, something was said that for both Rangers and Celtic, the national level is now the Europa League rather than Champions League. Can you understand that point of view, but presumably you disagree with it? Depends what balls come out of them pots, isn't it? Because last year I thought the group stage for Rangers, it was a massive reward for all the years of getting back in the teams that we faced, and it was tough, but I believe if we're fortunate enough or we earn the right to get in this year, we jump up a pot, and then the draw can be different. I remember being in a group with Porto and Feyenoord when we was in the Europa League, and that was certainly a tough group. So I think when you get in the competitions, I looked at the Europa League last year, it looked like the strongest Europa League I can remember in terms of the level of the teams that were in there as well. So I think you at this level, all the teams have got really good players, and most of the teams we play against spend more money than the teams from Scotland in terms of the players that they bring in. So when you get to that level, you know you're playing against high quality.
Michael, there's been criticism of the way the team played at the weekend. Among that's people saying there's perhaps a lack of width in the team. How assured are you that you've got the options in your team that you need to go and cut open opposition? Listen, there's loads of coaches after a game you don't win. And that's the nature of the business. That's being a football coach. You try to black that out. You believe in the work that you're doing. The team played the same way and won a hell of a lot of games last season, scoring lots of goals. So, and certainly away from home. So, you know, when it's right, and when it's wrong, I get it. And it's everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I believe the way that we play is fine. We just have to be a bit more decisive. You mentioned the other day you're going to have another 8 games before the international break. You're not going to have that much time on the training field with the players. Is that a concern to you, or is playing games the best way to get the guys to sort of link together and find that cohesion? I think at this moment in time, more playing and less analysing, and you can only play the next game. You don't start 1-0 up or 1-0 down. You just play the next game that's in front of you, and I think that the ball needs to roll a little bit. We've signed good players. They come from good pedigree. They come from good clubs. You all went and done the background checks on them coming in. So, okay, let's just get on with playing. The fans will get behind the team as long as the team play with the energy of the fans, and they want
they want to see, which is what everybody inside is pushing for as well.
So been any movement on Glenn Kamara's situation?
No movement on Glenn Kamara's situation, no.
You talked about the outstanding mentality of Servette. So how are you expecting for the game tomorrow?
Well, I think that would have been hugely exciting for the fans back home in Switzerland, and it was a fantastic job. Genk were a really dangerous team. I think everyone's aware of that. And I thought over the 2 games, it was fascinating games to watch because we were on the outside looking in. The first game, it went end to end, but the second game was hugely difficult with the early sending off. And I thought the fitness and mentality, the organisation of the team was outstanding. And at the end, that's probably what won the day for Servette. So we know that they have that inside them. We know that they're a good team, and it will be 2 cracking games, but firstly here, but we know that next week is a sellout over in Geneva as well. So we're excited to go over and let's see, 2 great games to play in.
I think Stephen used to call on Ibrox crowds in these kind of occasions to sort of lift the team. How much do you need the crowd tomorrow night just to get behind the boys and lift them up after this point of the weekend?
Yeah, but we can count on them. We know we can count on them. They're as strong as anywhere in the world. We know that on European nights. We've seen the stand shaking. We've seen the celebration. We've seen it all. And we know how important they are. They know how important they are as well. And at the weekend, they showed what they bring to this football club. It's important that the players on the pitch match that and actually give them something to stay on their feet cheering. And together, that's hugely strong. It's a famous place to play European football, Ibrox, and that's what makes our club special.
When you're trying to bed down the team and when the stakes are quite high, can you enjoy it as a coach? Or is the pressure just a bit too much? Or?
No. Listen, you have to enjoy it. We're playing in the Champions League qualifier tomorrow night at Ibrox. As a coach, you're a very, very privileged position. These are your guys. You work with them every day. You know the hopes and aims they've got. You don't go on the pitch with them, but you give them a plan and you go on there and you want them to execute it. And you know how much it means to everybody, people inside the club that are investing in it, and the board members, the fans that are invested because it's there. So I think I'm in a hugely privileged position. You have to remember that. We've obviously the last few days have not been ideal with the result of the weekend, but I wouldn't want to switch position with anybody else. I love the job that I have. It's a huge privilege, and it's important we go out on the pitch super positive tomorrow to attack this game.
When we see the budget and the players that play for Rangers that play for Servette, there's a big difference. So we can clearly say you're the favourites. Do you agree with that?
If you want to call us the favourites, it's fine. We'll see how the first leg goes, and next week it might be the reverse. So let's see. I think that it's Servette, you've earned your right to be here. You played excellent over 2 games against a very strong team where you were the underdog, and you're here. So no one at Rangers underestimating Servette, not in any shape or form. And we'll have to be at our very best in the next 2 games if we want to advance.
And with the mentality, the outstanding mentality, are you goals for tomorrow to end that round? To win the most, and then so when you go back to Geneva, you can maybe give it a little bit more chill.
No, because I don't believe at this level of the competition that will happen. In my experience of European football, the game always goes to the second half or the last 20 minutes of the second leg, and I'm sure this is going to be the case, and we certainly won't be coming off or making too many changes or anything like that. This is a hugely important game for both teams. We're paying it the respect it deserves.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thanks for that, Fox. Well, quite a lot to kind of unpack there a wee bit, guys. Juicy, I'll start off with just that one of the points that was made at the end there when the guy asked Michael Beale, does he need to send out a rallying call to the fans? I think we're in a wee bit of trouble if the second game in that's going to be required, because all we're looking for is that the team to go out and give us something.
Well, it's the first home game of the competitive season, and it's a Champions League qualifier. I don't think the fans need a rallying call, to be honest. Everyone's going to be losing their mind of excitement. it's up to the team then to keep that going and give us something to actually cheer. Otherwise, it does make it difficult. But the fans will certainly be there in their numbers, and we'll be behind them 100%. Just please show us something on the park. And I know there's a lot of new players, Linda, but they need to start figuring out how each other play, because if we're slow and we don't get a good result, it's going to be a hell of a difficult attempt to then get through next week in Switzerland. We really need to take a lead over there.
And AK, we probably think as fans we can't really do any more in terms of supporting the team, the club. The directors have, put their money up this summer as well. Michael Beale's had all the financial backing. We're buying into everything that the club's promoting. We're trying to, the museum, we talked about that, last week as well, the restaurant. We're trying to support the club as much as we can, but the time for talking's done, and it really is now up to the players to go out and show us what they're made of really on the pitch.
Absolutely, Linda, I agree with that. As Juicy said, the crowd will be up for it right away. We always are. European nights at Ibrox are special. So that, I don't know even why he's getting asked that question. I think his reply kind of shut that down anyway. But the Ibrox crowd, they still need, something to see out the team, out of the players, a bit of oomph right across the park. Get intensity in your play. Get the tempo up right away, be in their faces, shut down everything. Sometimes even just the first challenge, show your sign of intent right away. Make it as intimidating as possible, because over the last few years, our home record at Ibrox is pretty good, to say the least. Obviously, the Champions League last year, we were a different level opponent, but we're not playing that level opponent tomorrow night. So the crowd will be up for it. Hopefully the players will be up for it, and hopefully they carry out the game plan that Mr. Beale set them this time. But just go out there and express the reason why you're at our club in the first place, and give you something to cheer. Hopefully we take a couple of goal lead out of Switzerland next week.
And you see, it was quite an interesting point as well when he was asked about the width, the lack of width in the team. And he actually said that he's going to say that he believes in the process, believes in the work that they're doing. And he said that they're playing the same as last season, and we were successful, we scored goals, and everybody bought into it. But I think we're actually still, as fans, trying to figure out exactly what system he's playing. Juicy, I don't know if you would agree with that.
I didn't think that last season we were a goal machine of a side, no. Linda, to be fair. No. We weren't, the ratio between us and the team that won the league in terms of goals was, we were nowhere near. So he's not correct with his thinking there. This season, yeah, okay, it remains to be seen. You can't really measure after one game. We're all annoyed that we lost to Kilmarnock, but that's not going to necessarily follow the mantra for the whole season. At least we hope not. Otherwise, we're all going to be losing our minds again. But he did also say in that interview that he was happy with the way we were playing, which is actually quite worrying, because we were very, very tepid and a real lack of creativity, which is why I said we need a player like Hadji playing tomorrow, because you need someone who's got technical nous to try and unlock teams. Clearly Lawrence isn't ready yet, so we've got someone there ready-made in a Hadji who you can use. So I was concerned, Linda, by his, should I say, like a laissez-faire attitude about it. He's we're going to see after the next couple of games, because if we don't get the result in Europe and then we play an Old Firm, pressure's going to be on him massively, and we don't want to see that at all. We want to glide through serenely the next few matches. But I disagree with some of what he said there, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're not the only one, Juicy. There's been quite a lot of comments about some of the stuff that their manager's saying, but he's not going to come out and say that there's no width, or he's not going to come out and talk about exactly what he's trying to do. We totally understand that, but it will be interesting to see what sort of team we put out tomorrow night. So anyway, we've got the phone lines open, so it'd be quite nice if people want to phone in, tell us what team you would play tomorrow night, and I'm going to put AK on the spot right now and ask him to give us his team.
Under pressure right away. Thanks very much, Linda.
Go for it. And it's a team that you want to see. Obviously, we know about the injuries, but what would you like to see?
Right, well, obviously the squad that he's picked, we're not going to see Kemar Roof and Lawrence, even though he's saying that the two of them are in training, but they're no part of the European squad. I think he's got to bring in Cifuentes, whether he likes it or not. We need to see a freshness, a new player in there to give the crowd a bit of a buzz. I would also be starting Danilo as well, just again similar. We didn't see a lot of him at the weekend. So anyway, my team will be Butland. We've not got an option. Tavernier. Personally, I would have dropped Connor Golson because I didn't think he was up to speed, but I think he will play him. But I think he's going to drop Suter because he needs at least one change out of that defensive lineup. He doesn't have Redvan, so again he needs to go with Barisic. Cifuentes and Raskin. I'm set up a 4-4-2 here. I'm hoping to see a change of formation as well. Right. Cifuentes and Raskin in the middle with Jack out on the right, and I would be playing Sima on the left, and I'd be putting Cantwell and Danilo up front.
Okay, Alex. And did you say you were dropping Suter, and would you put Balogun in for him then? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I
think there's going to be one casualty for the weekend, and I think Suter's the easy option because Golson just seems undroppable, and he was keen on getting him in there in the first place. I think we were all kind of surprised that Golson actually appeared there, but it was with this game in the intent. So I think Suter's going to drop out, and I think Balogun will come in there, yeah. Okay,
cheers, AK. Juicy, any thoughts, any differences in your team?
Well, I like the fact that AK has gone and put in Sima on the left, because if he plays, he has to play on the wing. Because he's looked like a headless chicken up front in the last couple of games that he's played. So, please try and play him in the position where we think he's going to be more capable. So it reminds me a little bit of Fashion. When you put him up front, he looked absolutely terrible. I know we'll get onto him later. I would make a change at the back as well, but this is quite experimental by me, but I would be putting in Sterling on the left back. Barisic just looks just zero attacking threat, and at the weekend, he didn't want the ball. If you notice, they stopped giving it to him because he just wasn't wanting it. And Yilmaz, we've got question marks about the boy's fitness as well. I think we're still hoping that he's going to come good, and he's certainly shown some moments. I would also play Cifuentes as well. Rest of my back four would be the same as the weekend. Suter, Goldson, Tav, Butland. I'd have Cifuentes as a CDM. I'd then go Cantwell, Raskin, and then I'd have Hadji in behind Danilo and Lammers. So that's a 4-1-2-1-2.
Right. Okay. So some differences there. You're bringing in Hadji. Juicy, just on the basis of we think he'll give us something a bit different in terms of creativity, maybe.
Well, as I said earlier, because we lacked so much the weekend, you've got to change something in terms of some attacking impetus. It's too big a game to go in with the old tried and tested. You've got to try something that perhaps normally you wouldn't in such a big game, but we haven't had an opportunity to prepare well for this. We've got to go in and make changes now and just go for it, because the opportunity will fly by and be gone if they don't. So Danilo and Lammers, I've been reasonably impressed with Lammers. I think most people would perhaps agree. Danilo certainly looks fit. He just needs more matches with us. He had a full pre-season with Feyenoord, so he's certainly not lacking. Dessers still looks a little bit behind fitness-wise, which is, I think, what a lot of people would say as well. The only thing, Linda, that I wasn't too sure about was possibly starting Dowell over either Cantwell or Raskin. because I thought he's looked quite good in pre-season and also at the weekend. Not sure why he got subbed. So I would actually fully consider him for one of those positions in the middle. Maybe over Cifuentes, we'd have to maybe change the formation up a bit, but that's probably the biggest decision as to whether or not he'll debut Cifuentes in such a game. I'm probably going to suspect he won't.
He won't, Juicy? Do you think he won't debut Cifuentes?
Yeah, I don't think he will. I mean, I'd be thrilled if he just starts Hadji. I mean, I'm putting in Cifuentes and Sterling. He's probably not going to be that adventurous.
AK, part of the presser, he was asked about whether he was going to make some changes, and all he said, AK, was one or two, freshen the team up. So there's a possibility that and I know sometimes when the player that's rolled out for the presser is sometimes somebody who's going to start. Now that was John Lundstrom. It doesn't always follow suit, AK, but there is a possibility that he might actually start with John Lundstrom.
I don't think that would go down too well with the crowd. I don't know what you think or the listeners think there, but it just seems to be the fall guy now. I actually feel a wee bit sorry for Lundstrom. So for me, because he's basically dropping out the back or the midfield to help out or split the two centre halves to allow the full backs to come forward. So he's got zero influence on the game whatsoever. But people see him as the kind of slow, turgid, ball. He doesn't control it fast enough. He doesn't start movement fast enough. But for me, if Beale's come into the club, Gio had Lundstrom playing 30 yards up the park, and he had far more influence in that in the run we got to Seville. Now it looks as if he's kind of sacrificed them to help solidify the kind of space that Tavernier and Barisic or Ridvan would be leaving in the back line. So he's more concerned about that, the shape of the team, than he is about actually, going forward and being positive. But what would your team be, Linda, yourself? You've not mentioned anything.
Well, I'm kind of the opinion that we do need to start Cifuentes. I would definitely be playing him, and I've kind of gone for it's like a 4-4-2, Alex, but in the middle, I think we're setting up with this diamond shape. So my back four, obviously the Butland speaks for itself. I've just got Tav, Golson, Suter and Barisic, and I don't think he will drop Suter, but I can see your point to a certain degree. I've actually got Jack sitting at the base of the diamond just for a bit of protection. I've got Raskin on the right, I've got Cantwell at the top of the diamond, and I've got Cifuentes on the left. Now, if he doesn't play Cifuentes, he might play Dowell in there because Dowell's left-footed as well. And I've actually got Lammers just sitting off Danilo. That's kind of what I've gone for. But as I say, it's going to be difficult to actually to sort of get that team spot on. But it'll be interesting to hear what some of the listeners have got to say, and did they totally disagree with any? So let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
The only problem with my team, AK and Juicy, is that I'm worried about where the width would come from. Juicy?
Yep.
Well, we need to see the fullbacks actually moving up the pitch a little bit, because we didn't see that at all at the weekend. So whatever formation we have, as long as we're playing a back four, the opportunity for the fullbacks to get up the pitch should be there. And we didn't see that at all at the weekend. Now, we're against a team here that's got a number of pacey players that cause Genk all kinds of problems. And they're not going to be sweating what they've seen of us at the weekend. So we need to put something into place which is actually going to cause them some problems from an attacking sense. And we need to see Tav doing what Tav does in big European games, get up that pitch, cause havoc with the assists, and sneaking in at the back post for the cheeky goal here or there.
Yeah, and AK, I mean, Cifuentes, I think he's got to start him. I mean, when I was looking at it, I'm trying to fit him in, you know, to a midfield that has to have Raskin and Cantwell, I think, in it. And then you're thinking, well, we might still need a bit of protection for the back. And I'm not talking about over protection, AK. I'm just talking about if the full-backs go up, as Juicy said, you have to have a bit of protection. So Cifuentes, I know, is supposed to be a box-to-box player, but he's going to have to do some of the covering as well, because that's the way that we play. We like our full-backs to go forward, so they do have to have some form of protection. So Cifuentes is going to have to learn that side of the game as well.
See, that you're touching on something where Michael Beale, the question got asked him and says, listen, I'm playing the same system. You know, it's just the personnel have changed. Well, the personnel, you know, he's stating the obvious here, but what we've lost with the likes of Morelos and Kent and Arfield and that going out the team is they knew the system, you know, because they've been at a club a number of years, so it came second nature to them. If they seen Tavernier up the park, Jack would drop in there behind him, or Lundstrom would, or, you know, and it was the same the other side of the park. Kamara would drop in and cover Borna, where it seems to me with the likes of Dow and Sema, Danilo, Lammers, they don't seem to be tracking back and, you know, filling the spaces and the pockets in the midfield, which left us Raskin was in there himself, basically, for large periods. Or we had like a back five, there were one player in the middle and then a forward four. So there was like 40 yards between the defence and the attack, and that wasn't suiting the park to play the long ball up to them. You know, so it's down to there's a lot of work obviously needing to get done in the training ground. We Beale, but because of the change in personnel that we have now, it's going to take a while for the guys to, you know, get in their head exactly their roles within the team when they've got the ball and when they've not got the ball. But interesting lineups off everybody. Can see the positives in all our selections.
Yeah. And you see, the goal scoring, as you mentioned, was an issue for us last year. As you said, we were outscored by our rivals, our closest rivals. And from our perspective as well, I think that we used to always rely as well quite heavily on keeping, you know, it tight at the back and maybe not conceding goals. And there was a big emphasis on that when we won the title. But now it's all really about the forward play for me. We have to start scoring multiple goals in games, so that if we maybe do lose the odd goal, which can happen to any team, you know, we've obviously got credit in the bank, and we're far ahead, so far ahead that it doesn't matter if we do concede the odd goal.
Exactly, because if you take the Kilmarnock game as a really good example, they played six at the back, but to their credit, they were doing bits and pieces as well, but they set up very defensively, and that's the majority of the matches in the SPFL, whether it's home or away. There's a few teams that sway away from that, but not too much. So it's normally down to us to unlock them. And in previous seasons, and certainly under Gio as well, and even to an extent under Beale, we don't score many goals. So we're at risk. If they score one, suddenly it's a problem for us, because you think, well, we definitely don't have 3 goals in us. Can we get 2 to win the match? And that's what Kilmarnock were thinking at the weekend. Gets into the second half. They know they're not going to get many chances, but they know they'll get a chance. And they know if they score that, and if it's still 0-0, we're in big problems, big trouble. And that's how it transpired in the end. So we need to be like some of those Rangers sides we've seen in the past, where you were just simply outscoring them. Now, it doesn't matter if we concede a goal and we're 3-1 up or 4-1 up. It's fine. We need to get back to that situation where it's just a more comfortable affair, rather than sitting there as a fan sweating your ass off for 90 minutes just trying to get your team over the line because they're just 1-0 up. And we weren't even that at the weekend.
Yeah, AK, I mean, we were obviously brought up in eras with Rangers that scoring goals didn't seem to be a problem, Alex. I'm sure there obviously was in some games, but sort of free-flowing football when, you know, particularly when we played at home. You know, like when I remember, you know, there was times where we were very much able to score, you know, lots of goals. And it just seems to be over the last few years that it's become a problem for us.
You're right. What I would say, to Juicy's point, the problem for us is, as well as no scoring enough goals, we're also losing the first goal far too often. I think that's 28 times we've lost the first goal in the last year. That's an alarming stat for us. So basically, because of that, the Kilmarnock or a Livingston or a Motherwell, or, you know, there are numerous teams in the SPFL that set up defensively. The more that you give them something to cling on to, you know, that they're going to be dogged, they're not going to come out from their formation, and it's up to us to break them down. So as well as stop conceding the first goal, we need to score an earlier goal. You know, it's very few times that we're actually scoring in the first half, and we're doing our scoring in the second half. So we need to correct that as well, as obviously the defensive responsibility, keeping the opposition out.
So Alex touched a wee bit about the opposition earlier on in the show when we first come on the air, and he gave us some good information about the last game, the couple of games that they played against Genk. But if you get yourselves on mute, guys, we're going to hear the Port report.
Hello and welcome to Port's Report. Today we're going to look at Rangers versus Servette, predictions, team news and lineups. Rangers welcome Swiss club Servette to Ibrox on Wednesday as both sides aim to notch a first leg advantage in the third round of Champions League qualifying. The hosts suffered a surprise defeat to Kilmarnock in their opening match of the campaign, where the visitors have made an unbeaten start to 2023-24 season. Rangers will look to do much better this year in the Champions League, suffering home and away defeats against Liverpool, Napoli and Ajax to finish rock bottom of Group A with a goal difference of -20, so Beale's men will be determined to make an amends this season. While Rangers have entered the Champions League qualifying in the third round after finishing second in the Scottish Premier League last season, Servette have already come through tough two-legged showdown with Belgian side Genk to reach this stage. Following a 1-1 draw in the first leg, 10-men Servette managed to hold Genk to a 2-2 draw in the second leg despite Enzo Crivelli's 5th-minute red card, the Swiss side eventually thumping them 4-1 on penalties to reach the next round. Remarkably registered 4 shots on target, while just 26% possession in Belgium, while Genk racked up a whopping 33 attempts, but Rennie Weiler's men managed to take advantage against all the odds. Les Grenats have also made an impressive start to the domestic campaign, following 1 win and 2 draws in the start of the season, meaning Servette have avoided defeat in each of their 5 matches in 23-24. The Geneva outfit snatched a last gasp 1-1 draw against Stade Lausanne-Ouchy on Saturday, courtesy of Patrick Fluke's 96-minute equaliser, so Weiler's men will be eager to maintain the momentum while they visit Glasgow. Servette's team news: they have a lengthy injury list that contains Theo Magin, Miroslav Stevanic, Alexis Anutes, Kyogo Tsenomoto, Alexander Lang and Jeremy Frick. The visitors will also be without suspended striker Enzo Crivelli on Tuesday following his red card against Genk, meaning Chris Bieda will likely partner Jeremy Guillemot in a 4-4-2 formation. Rangers' possible lineup could be Butland, Goldson, Suter, Barisic, Raskin, Dewell, Lammers, Dessers, Seamer. Servette's possible lineup: Vulus, Vroulier, Severin, Barron, Tuahati, Ndua, Dolin, Kosea, Guillemot and Bieda. I think Rangers will win 3-1, and that's the end of Port Report.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thanks for that, Fox, and thanks to Port for putting in that good work and giving us that information. Juicy, they've not got their troubles to seek in terms of their players that are available to them. I think he said six players didn't make it, and 7 actually, including their captain. They've also got one of their star strikers obviously suspended, and I know we've got a few players missing, but there really can't be any excuses when you think about tomorrow night, and they're coming over here with a fair few players missing from what the manager's got to select from.
We need to take any little advantage we can. It doesn't necessarily mean that the players that come into their team are going to be any less hungry, though. You can make too much of an assumption sometimes to just think, oh, they're missing half their starting lineup. It must mean that everyone else is mince. I can't necessarily see that, but they might still be to a slightly lesser level than some of those first choice guys. We're at a point, Linda, where we're not too sure what the best starting Rangers 11 is at the moment. So it's really difficult. When we went into the matches last season against Union and PSV, we still had a few injury troubles, but we had a good pool of players to choose from, as we do now, even with a few players out. And you knew that we had everything that we could, throw at them pretty much. Right now, we're not sure what that starting lineup really is going to look like. We've all given a few predictions, and we're still not sure. I just hope that there's going to be something there that will cause them problems, because if they have had to make these number of changes, there's got to be something there that we can try and unlock.
Yeah, absolutely, Juicy. And AK, I don't think as fans we'll underestimate them in any way, shape or form. We're always looking inward. We look at our team, we look at how we think our team are going to perform. But we are, as we said earlier, it is early days, but we're just looking for a wee spark tomorrow night, Alex, aren't we? We're looking for the new players to show us something, to keep to make us feel a bit more optimistic again, because I think a lot of the optimism, rightly or wrongly, went out the window after one poor performance on Saturday, Alex.
Yeah, you're right. But can I just say before I start, Port Bear, it's not Serviette. That's like what a wee napkin you get when you're eating something at Servette. But no, you're right. It's something to look forward to. I think we've got to remain optimistic. It's too early to throw in the towel just yet. But obviously, Beale and the players have put them under pressure. They've done that themselves. It's up to the players and the manager now to dig them out of that. We'll certainly back them. The crowd will be there in their numbers as usual, in full voice. Give something to cheer. Entertain us. Give us that football that you brought out our club for. But I've done a wee bit of, I've watched Servette myself 4 times at the last couple of weeks, for betting purposes, I shall may add. but there were 3 players actually that stood out for me. One of them was their goalkeeper. He's a 32-year-old guy, but his kickouts are exceptional. Picking out a single man up front, he starts their attacks very, very quickly. So we've got to be aware of that. If we're caught up the park and we've only got 2 defenders back, or possibly 3, they normally leave 1 or 2 up front looking for that. So we've got to be aware of that. I've also picked out the boy, Port mentioned, David Doolin. I actually thought he was going to be suspended for this match because he picked up a yellow in Genk and also at home. But a Port saying he's no suspended. He's a defensive midfielder, very skilled, no fear to put a tackle in, very hard player, young boy. But for me, their main guy is number 8, Timothy Cognac, 25-year-old, just a wee slight guy, but very, very skillful. Everything comes through him. He came from Lyon. They got him 5 years ago with a loan deal option to buy. They bought him, and let me assure you, this wee guy's a cracking player. So if Raskin's on him, or Cifuentes, or Jack, or whatever, they need to watch out, because this guy pulls the string for Servette. But what they kind of lack a wee bit is what Genk took advantage of. They're not a big team, so if we've got corners or free kicks, our big guys, Tavernier said at the start of the season, it's land of giants now, the players we've got. Hopefully we could take advantage of that, but it's just some players to look out for tomorrow night.
Cheers for that, Alex. That's interesting. And also, Juicy, Port was mentioned some of the stats from that last game that they played against Genk. Quite interesting. The Genk had 74% of the possession. They had 33 shots, I think he said, 14 on target. But obviously, Servette had only sort of 26%, very, very few shots. But they still managed to draw the game 2-2, Juicy, and walk away with a win on penalties. So some of that sort of outcome can sound familiar to us.
And with a player sent off as well, Linda. So they were clearly, I wouldn't necessarily say comfortable, but they knew how to play when they weren't in possession. They soaked it up pretty well because they were under pressure at times, but they were able to play their way out of it. And that means they're no slouches. And like I said, they have a winning mentality. Any team that gets to the Champions League qualifier stage has clearly had a good previous season in terms of points accumulation. So they're used to winning, and we're going to have to try and do something about that. They're going to be full of confidence. They won't have played in a stadium like Ibrox, though, in their Swiss league. So, if the fans are going to be raucous, which of course they will be, we've got to keep that going. And we've got to take something away next week, because otherwise it'll be very, very hard. We've seen how difficult it can be in Switzerland. We've had some terrible results in the years gone by. We lost a Champions League qualifier to Grasshopper Zurich quite a long time ago. I don't know if you guys can remember that. I'm sure you can. And we lost to Young Boys as well in the Europa League, a group stage match really late. So it's not been a kind country to us. So we need to take something over there to try and make it less of a ordeal. But what am I saying? Of course it's going to be an ordeal. We don't do it the easy way. And as long as we do it, I'm fine, even if it has to be an ordeal, but it's likely to be. And don't forget, this is only hurdle number one. There's still going to be PSV or Sturm Graz who are playing tonight if we do get through. So it's going to be arduous. It's going to be difficult. And we've just got to give ourselves a chance.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree, Juicy. Ake, Michael Beale was asked a wee bit about the financial rewards for the qualifying for the Champions League group stage, and I know he was quick to say that we're only focusing on one game at a time, but it'll obviously be in the background. But and he was saying it's not just about the finance, although obviously that is something that they do take into consideration, but it's also the achievement, and you want to play in the biggest stage. But financially for the club, Alex, it is very important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And in this game alone, £5 million at stake. Even if we don't get past PSV or Sturm Graz, we still get that £5 million for beating Servette. So every game counts. Every penny getting in the coffers counts. But it's the prestige that the Champions League brings. Hearing that Champions League music at Ibrox again last year was not obviously music to everybody's ears that was there. But it was just that long time and away from that scene, and it's a place where we want to go back again, and compete. There's a lot of kind of players in there. Lundstrom touched on it today as well. He felt that the players underachieved, obviously, because how well we'd done in the European campaign the year before. He felt we could have acquitted ourselves a bit better than what we did. That was obvious, but we were up against some really, really strong teams. If we do manage to get past Servette, PSV 3-1 up, I believe, in their game tonight. That's obviously over 2 legs as well. So it could be PSV looking for revenge for last year. But it's up to us. Go out there. If we can get a positive result and take it over to Switzerland and then see where it takes us. But I just want to see an entertaining performance and, take the shackles off of these players at your boat rather than concentrating the system. Let the players express themselves, because that's when they're going to be most happiest, and hopefully we get the win.
Yeah, and just say, the players that we've brought in. Yes, it's a new, new players that we've got in the squad. We're talking about, time to gel, and they've got to hit the ground quickly. But these players that we've brought in are good players. They've played in European ties before. They've played in, obviously, European leagues that we would probably say that are probably better than the Scottish league. So, yes, it takes time to gel, but you just hope that they can start to really hit the ground running and start to sort of make their mark.
Well, this is what I thought we would see against Kilmarnock, would be that individual quality that the players have, which, as you said, a lot of them have from leagues that they've played in, good pedigree leagues. We're looking for those individual moments of brilliance against a team like Servette in the Champions League game. We're looking at those individual moments of brilliance in a match away to Kilmarnock, where it takes just that little one glimmer of magic to create that opening. What we will see on Wednesday is a more expansive game of football by both teams. There will be more chances. I don't think Servette will come and completely close down, but they know that they need to take something from the game to give themselves a better chance. At the same time, they won't necessarily want to leave themselves wide open, but we've got to play it right, because if we concede first, as AK alluded to earlier, we've done way more times than we would like in the last 12 months. We're going to be under massive pressure, and then it's going to accumulate into the next game. It will accumulate to the Livingston match next week in Servette, and then an Old Firm game after Ross County. Suddenly, all of these massive matches can suddenly look really bad if it doesn't go our way. We've got to apply ourselves.
We've just been joined by our first caller of the evening. We've been joined by Spanish Billy. How you doing, Billy?
Good evening, lady and gentlemen. I'm not sure whether AK is the lady as well, but hello, everybody.
Hi, Billy.
What's on your mind, Billy?
I was having technical issues last night, so I forgot everything I was going to say last night. But just first thing on top of my mind is it's like we need to be having a system. We need to create a system and a formation for the players, right? So Bill needs to be like looking at all their qualities, their attributes, what their skills are, what they can naturally do, what they're comfortable at doing, and create a system for them as they go in his pride. Like, I understand any juvenile coach, I know he's been coaching for a while, but this is his first proper big gig. I know he'll have his philosophy and his ideologies, but he needs to just let that go. It is not working. It's trying to put square pegs into round holes, and he doesn't even have any pegs. And he needs to come up with a formation to accommodate and complement those players. And until he's able to accept that, we're not going to ever have a system that works. I just don't see him doing that. I genuinely don't.
Yeah. Do you think Beale himself, or manager himself, hasn't he got the ability to actually identify the skills and put a proper system in place, Billy? Or do you think that it's just going to take a bit of time?
At first I was sort of intrigued, and I didn't want to jump the gun. There was warning signs there, but I was also being rational about it. But from what I've seen, my call last night was very brief, but what I opened with, I was just saying that the apathy, lethargy, the lack of animation, anger, disappointment from him from these results and performances is absolutely infuriating. And if he can't learn right away, like, he should be learning from one bad performance, from one mistake. And he has been with the club in the past, albeit a different role. And he joined us last season, so it's not as if this is new to him. If he hasn't learned how to adapt in his previous time with us and the time that he's accumulated all the different cups, Europe. Do you know what I mean? If he hasn't been able to change and adapt already, I don't see him ever being able to. No, sorry, I really don't.
Right, we're going to hold that thought, Billy, and please stay on the line because there's no technical issues tonight. We can hear you as clear as anything. So, but I'll ask you all to get yourselves on mute because we're going to have a tune.
We went to Barcelona, the Rangers for to see, and when we reached the stadium, our hearts filled up with glee. There were so many Scotsmen all ready for the fray. You should have heard old Gary's mouth when the Rangers won the day. Oh Barcelona, oh don't you cry for me, for the Dynamo they scored 2 goals, but the Rangers they scored 3. When inside the stadium, the lights I'd never seen, all around the terraces they sang of Colin Steen, the best centre forward that's in the world today. And when he scored his wonder goal, the girls were on their way. Oh Barcelona, oh don't you cry for me, for the Dynamo they scored 2 goals, but the Rangers they scored 3. Flags and scarves were flying high when Willie Johnston scored, and when he scored the second goal, the Ibrox fans they roared. John Gregg, the captain, went up to lift the prize. The European Cup Winners' Cup was right before our eyes. Oh Barcelona, oh don't you cry for me, for the Dynamo they scored 2 goals, but the Rangers they scored 3. 100,000 Rangers fans thronged the Glasgow streets, and inside old Ibrox Park you couldn't get a seat. The Glasgow Rangers had won their famous day. The year was 1972 in the merry month of May. Oh Barcelona, oh don't you cry for me, for the Dynamo they scored 2 goals, but the Rangers they scored 3.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thanks for that, Fox. You get everybody back?
Yep.
Good stuff. You still there, Billy? Yes.
I am indeed, yeah.
Right. I'll take your points to AK. AK, any doubts about Beale's ability to get a tune out of these players?
Billy must have been reading some of the homework that I've left about my house today. Because I've got pretty similar thoughts myself. He keeps going on about the system and all that, and this 4-3-3 formation, but it seems to nullify a lot of players in our team to compensate for others. So I'm with Billy. If you're buying certain players who were expressing, how good they were at other clubs in whatever position, then that's the position you should be bringing them into your team. You don't tell a player, to change his game. These guys are, they're no wee boys. They've learned most of their trade at other countries, so they're not going to really change their style of play just to accommodate your system. He's done it the other way about. If he wanted certain players to play it for his system, then he should have done his homework better than other players. For me, so it just looks as if square pegs round holes in it, because we're losing Cantwell out of our team now. The way he was the 6 months of the season last year, he was our main man, but he seems to have been moved to the right to accommodate Lammers. Situations like that, putting Lundstrom, as I say, 30 yards deeper in the team has nullified his game, rather than expressing the players going forward. and utilising them that way, he seems to nullify him just to satisfy his system. So he needs to adapt to the players that he's got available for his selection.
Yeah, just say it was a wee bit of a shock to see Cantwell not play on Saturday, and I know he's not been as outstanding in pre-season training. He's not played as well as he did play last season. You know, when he came to the club, but not very many people did shine in pre-season. But Cantwell was still our best player by a country mile for the time that he's been at the club. And it was a wee bit of a shock to see that he didn't make the starting line-up on Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. The measuring stick wasn't very high in pre-season. But if he's being played out of position, as AK said, it's not allowing the player to necessarily give his best performance. So to go by what you guys were just saying a moment ago, yes, I actually do have serious doubts about Beale's ability to play the players correctly and get the best out of them, because I don't think we've seen that yet. I think there was performances last season as well, pre-season, and now where we are now. And Cantwell, he was absolutely wonderful when he came in, and also Raskin as well. But Cantwell, from that attacking point of view, he was one of the few players that really gave us something in the second half of last season. So what you need to be doing is building it around that. And Lammers and the other four players have got to learn how to feed off these guys that are creating and making it happen. Of course, some of them can be interchanged and the like, and you can swap people in and out. But you've got to build on what was actually bringing you a level of success in some of those matches. And Cantwell was the Mac Daddy of that. And now he's kind of playing a different role, and we're not seeing it again. So tomorrow, you need to see Cantwell playing well in a position that he's accustomed to. And I'm still not opposed to giving Dowell a try as well, because I thought Dowell was good, but he took him off.
Yeah. We've been joined with our second call of the evening. It's Blue Star. How you doing, Blue Star?
Evening, Linda. Evening, AK. Juicy and I'll go Spanish Valley. Hi, very good. Hi, Linda. Just what you are talking about when you're talking about our manager. What I can't get away with is, see, the very fact we're all questioning his system, whether he's playing players in right positions, etc. That's an enigma and an anomaly that doesn't make sense in itself, because every single player that he's brought in, he's told you straight, he hasn't been looking at them for 6 months or a year. The mass majority of the 9 players he's brought in, he's told you he's had his eyes on them for the last 2. Some of them it's even 4 he's mentioned. So if he's brought the guys in and he doesn't seem to know where their best positional sense is and what kind of system he's playing to acclimatise to put them in, then we're in a worse state than what any of us even think. So hopefully that's not the case. I'm just baffled. I mean, the Cantwell situation, I get the fact that he wasn't anything great in pre-season, but then none of the players were. And I know a lot of the guys, and I think that was through excitement. We've seen a couple of wee touches for Lammers. Listen, none of us have seen anything for any of them. Let's be truthful here, we haven't. So, basically, whoever he plays, they've all still got it all to do, because we've not seen anything at all, especially there on Saturday. That was just absolutely dreadful. There was no positives to take out of that, none at all. The only positive you can take out of it was we can only play better. So for me, the one tomorrow, I agree with you, Linda. The morning night, for me, he's got to play Cifuentes. That's the one guy I had a lot of faith in. He is box to box. He's got a great engine on him. He's a tall guy. He's young. He's full of energy, and he takes shots. Now I'm watching this game with PSV then. Now I'm not exaggerating here. The 4-1 up, and it should be. They actually should be in double figures. They've missed more than what they've scored. And the ones that they've missed are actually easier than the ones that have scored. I know that sounds hard to believe, but it's true. So even to get by Servette, And I'm like AK, I've watched two of the last games, the 2 games against Genk. They're very, very quick. That I will say. So it's not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. So for me, the Monday night's game at Ibrox is the crucial tie. Honestly, if we don't score at least 2 goals at a cushion, then it's going to be very, very difficult. Because we all know we're not great in defence either. That's much the sameness as last season, and we weren't great last season. So for me, he's elaborated on the fact that he's pushed most of his thoughts onto the midfield to the attack. So he's got to play these guys, and he's got to get them up to speed. They've got to go out and show us what they've got.
Yeah. Blue Star, how would you get Cifuentes into the team? Any idea of your sort of preferred formation and your front players so that we can get
I'm like you. I like the way you said Diamond, because I don't think he'll play. If it was me, I would automatically play 4-4-2. I really would, especially in that game, because we don't have any width. Therefore, for me, sticking Danilo with Lammers, I don't even think that's ideal, because Lammers is not a striker, not by any stretch of the imagination. He's the same as Cantwell. He's a midfielder that likes to break forward. So for me, I would like to have seen Cifuentes in the middle with Cantwell and Raskin. If you're going to play Lammers, I would have played him either out in the right or out in the left. But Danilo, I'm not convinced with that one, Linda, either. See, playing him just as a straight number 9, he's a guy that likes to play off another striker, and Lammers is not another striker by any stretch of the imagination. It's like saying Cantwell up there with him. Cantwell's not a striker. He's a midfielder that just breaks forward. So he has got a dilemma with where he's playing them. He really has.
Billy, just bring you back in. You were saying about his inability to play these players in their correct positions. What about you? What would your kind of forward 5 or 6 players be? You get any thoughts in the lineup, Billy?
I'll not lie to you. I genuinely don't know, because I don't know enough about the players. And what I've seen from them, I haven't seen any attributes or prowess or anything to sort of even give me an inkling. Usually I'm always forced to pick in 11 reluctantly, but at the minute I don't know. Just touching on Cantwell, we've just seen all the talent we've seen from Cantwell when he joined us. That has all just been eradicated now, and he's running about like a headless chicken. And then their point of contention with a certain penalty, things like that there, he seems totally lost, as if he's got no purpose, because he's not being played where he should have been playing. So for me, I would have Cantwell in the team, and I would have him playing where he was doing a job for us, where he's dispatching the ball, distributing it. As Blue says, he's a midfielder who bursts forward. We've seen last season he got right to the corner and floated in a lovely wee ball. The guy's got talent, and I just think Bill's overcoaching. I don't know what Bill's doing. I don't think any of us really know what he's doing, but I think these players are being overcoached, or the raw talent is being coached out of them. Just let them do. You're signing them for a reason. You're acknowledging certain skills and attributes, and that's why you're bringing them into the team. So if you're signing them for those skills, let them showcase them. And I just feel at the minute he's getting it very wrong with Cantwell.
AK, there's been the team. Yeah, you make really great points there, Billy. AK, I mean, there's been a lot of chat about this overcautious play from us. We're not really taking any risks. We want the handbrake off. We want them to up the tempo. I mean, somebody like Cantwell, why would you change the guy's position when he's been your best player for near enough the whole time that you've been at the club, in terms of Michael Beale when he came in? And I know it's all about, the chat about Lammers, but why would you change the position of your best player, who basically near enough single-handedly drove the team forward for a half a season there?
Mystifying, Linda. It's mystifying. I believe you were there at the training day as well.
Yes.
I was there myself. We would have heard Mr. Beale actually speak to the crowd, and his very words were, we'll be taking the handbrake off and we'll be going for it. It'll be attacking flair football. We've not seen that, Linda. And Billy's 100% right. You know, it's Cantwell, as you say, he was your one shining light that came out of a very, very poor season. So what we need to be doing is building that team round about him for his strengths. Don't put him out in the right where he's not going to get involved in the game and then ask to play a defensive position to cover their Tavernier's space in behind. That's not Cantwell's game. It's all about the parts got to be in front of him, and he's got to have the vision to see runners, to see a pass, to maybe even drive into the space himself. I want to be seeing shots with distance. We're falling into this same old, pass from side to side to side and not go anywhere and allow the defensive shape in front is just to form and see all this no intensity, no speed, tempo. Tavernier's got to take a free kick. Tavernier's got to take a throw in. That's a joke. For goodness sake, man, does he not trust other people in the team to have that responsibility just for a throw in? It's getting beyond the joke. But what I was going to mention as well, we've seen Sakala go out the door today, right? That's 12 goals. He's let Kovacs go. That's 18 goals. They're 30 goals in a hole that we need to fill up with these new signings. So we need to put the impetus on the attack and getting it, but we also need to obviously keep the back line shut. But it's a quandary that Beale has set for himself.
Blue Star, that's a good point Alec makes about the goals that need to be replaced, but I don't know about you, but I just thought that the players that we would be bringing in it was a shoe-in that we were going to at least replace those goals, but give us more, Blue Star.
100%. That's what Mr. Beale tells us. It's his words, no ours. I banged on the whole of last season. We had no legs. We needed pace in the team. He's come out repeatedly the whole of pre-season to say the players that he brought in would be playing with energy and far more pace. Well, I can assure you, the mystifying thing for me, as we've all spoke about, was he virtually played with the guys in midfield, and all they done was square the ball back and forward across the middle of the pitch. In fact, most of the time we were actually playing in our own half. Plenty of possession, same as last year. But there's no balls going through. And then the mystifying thing, this is how I'm saying even in the Monday night, Linda, with Danilo, are you seriously telling me if your midfield players aren't taking the ball by defenders, that they're hoping just to punch a ball through for one attacker to go on the end of it? That's never going to work in European football, never mind in Scottish football. It ain't working when you're playing against 9 and 10 players that are defending. Your midfield must commit defenders. They must take them on. We never seen that at all on Saturday. And that's what I couldn't get away with. I was expecting to see, no matter what player he had on the park, your midfield players have to take the defenders on. We did not see that at all. All they done was slow passing, back and forwards and straight back and forwards across the park. You must commit. And if he's telling us he's bringing in better goal scorers, they're never going to be better goal scorers if they can't get the ball. They've got to be running about in areas in attack where they're getting balls fed through to them that they can have a shot. We see none of that. How many shots did Dessers have? He got one tangled in his feet that he should have done better with, and the other one was ballooned out of the bar. And you're playing with one striker because, as I say, Lamerson but he's meant to be a winger, big seamer, but he doesn't look that great. Certainly not at the moment. And Lammers is not a winger. Lammers is very much like Dowell and Cantwell. They're very, very similar, the three players. But Cantwell certainly, the whole of last 6 months, that's the mystifying thing. Billy and AK's right, yourself too. I mean, Cantwell was running games himself, let's be truthful here, and yet he drops them. Seriously, I don't know where we're managed. I really, at the moment, I don't see where my strengths are. I really don't.
Yeah. Do you see on Saturday against Kelly, we had 4 shots on target, And I know, like, I saw a stat where we had 18 attempts at goal overall. I'm struggling to remember 18 attempts. I've got to confess to that. I can't remember as many as that. But 4 shots on target. And I think, Juicy, it took us something like 30 minutes before we actually got 1 shot away. I mean, that was one of the things that shocked me a lot as well. This reluctance still to shoot at goal when we brought in all these players that are going to give us this attacking, threat, to still be in a position where we're reluctant to shoot.
Yeah.
We have a lot of new players, but I'm afraid the mentality of the team is the same as what we had last season under 2 different managers. And until that changes, we won't be seeing more trophies at this club, unfortunately. There needs to be a change in that mindset. So the new players who are coming in, and again, we've only had 1 competitive game. As AK said earlier, let's not throw ourselves off a cliff just yet. Okay,
we're nearly there.
We've played one game out of what we're going to play this season. If we go deep in the domestic cups and have a reasonable European run, we can easily play close to 60 matches. So please let's try and keep some level of positivity. But we're playing a newly promoted team in Kilmarnock on a rubbish pitch. We know that we've got players who are capable of putting them away, and we didn't see it at all. So we now know that the next few matches are against generally tougher opposition, and that's why we're worried. And we need to see a sea change, and we need to see it now. If we put in a good performance tomorrow and win by a couple of goals, suddenly football and the mindset of fans changes, because it's a very fickle sport. You can be up and down from one week to the next. At a club like Rangers, you've got to win every week. An old firm manager is only 3 games away from complete disaster. So, and that's how it's always been. So, an improved performance tomorrow. We appreciate it's a tougher game, but at Ibrox, and that's why, as Blue Star was saying, you've got to agree with the man. The 4-4-2, something that's more attacking. We need that because we need to open them up more. At least give yourselves a chance.
Yeah. Billy, what are you looking to see tomorrow night that would give us a bit more sort of optimism and a bit more confidence in both the manager and the team?
How long do I have? I think basically everything the vast majority of us want, that one fundamental thing, passion, intent, just start as you mean to go on. From that first whistle, those players should be fired up. They're coming from all our countries. They haven't, if they've featured in pre-season, they haven't impressed. They didn't impress at Rugby Park. Start as you mean to go on. Just show us something. Look, if you get beat but you have left it all out on the pitch and you have gave your everything, covered every blade of grass, and you gave everything, I will respect you and I will probably have more faith in you. Do you know what I mean? All I'm hoping for is to see something that, just for God's sake, just show us something. Do you know what I mean? A bit of passion. But in football terms, I want to see the ball moved about. I don't want to see us sitting in our own half really, really deep, just passing backwards. I don't want to see a hole trodden into the centre circle. Do what you're taught to do when you're a child. Pass and move. Just get the ball moved out quickly, find space. Keep it simple. Just don't overcomplicate it. Just play simple, basic football. That's what I'm hoping for. And goals.
That sounds like a plan, Billy. We've just been joined by Bob Jer. Good evening, Bob Jer.
Hello, Linda. You doing the show tonight, though?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Managing these guys, they're all very well behaved, Bob.
Well, it just shows another example of the growing expansion of women in football. And
Bob Jer, what's your thoughts on tomorrow night? Are you feeling positive?
No, I don't know, Linda. This is a potentially difficult tie, but Christ, we should be able to overcome a side of this standard. I don't know, I mean, after Saturday, I've never known such a mood of despondency among the support. That's being honest with you. And I was scathing last night, I'll be scathing tonight again. I hope this isn't a bunch of duds that he's signed. I hope not. The club has rocked in, it's went through financial bad times, and it's delved out a lot of money to this man for to try and bring back success to the club. And I'm just like everybody else. I just sure as hell hope it happens, and the sooner that happens, the better. Yeah. But no, I'm afraid.
Yeah. What are you looking to see tomorrow night, Bob Ger? What are you looking to see from the manager and the team?
Well, I'm looking to see a few changes in there. I heard a chap saying earlier on, he's got to play the Sequentes and give us Danilo, give us Danilo a start. But I'll repeat myself last night. Hawk says to me last week, do you ever remember a Rangers team without any wingers? I'm sorry, I can't. I don't see where the wind's going to come from. Barry's going to play Lammers out wide. Just a lack of chance making, Linda. It was like that pre-season, and obviously it was like that on Saturday. The lack of chance making.
Yeah. It was quite astounding, Bob Ger, wasn't it? The fact that, as I said earlier, it took us that amount of time to even get a shot away, get a shot on target. I thought that with the players that would be, that we brought in, that it would be so-called shooty in. I was really surprised at how long it took us to even get a shot away.
Yeah,
I didn't envisage shooty in, Linda, but I did expect Rangers to make, against the provincial clubs. Rangers are always going to make chances, always have. But on Saturday, it just didn't materialise. I think you're referring to that shot with Lundstrom. The keeper tipped to the bar. That was the only time he had to do anything in the whole 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Against a provincial club like Kilmarnock. Oh, come on, we're better than that. Down through history, we've been better than that.
And Blue Star, I'll just bring you back in. And, we hear a lot of chat about how the opposition's set up and, how the opposition manager knows how to put a team out against Rangers. I just think sometimes it's time for us we're Rangers, we should be focusing on what we're doing and how we're going to go and beat the team in front of us.
100%, Linda, and you've hit the nail right in the head. You don't need to be Einstein to work that out. I mean, any manager in our SPL watching that game back on Saturday, if you're a team that doesn't have a lot of money, and most of them don't, and they've not got great players up front, what are you going to do when you come to Ibrox? You're just going to sit in, the same as what they've done the last number of seasons. And if you've not got players on the ball, passing that ball about with intensity and speed, passing it quick, you've got to be punching balls through so that your front men are all moving and interchanging. That's what alarmed me. There was no movement. You heard Billy saying there, you must pass and move, and you must make them quick passes. We're strolling about there, passing slow balls at them. How many times is our back line passing the ball to one another when we're playing at home? Goodness me, we're never going to score goals after that. And yet when managers tell us straight, we're going to play with passion, pace and intensity, and there'll be more goals. Linda, the glaring thing, you've just hit the nail on the head. We created nothing on Saturday. Never mind the pitch, never mind the team we were playing against. We created nothing. There was no interchanging links. There was no link-up play. Our passing was as slow as, oh dear me, it was frighteningly slow. It's got to be far, far quicker. But you must have passes, and your players that are going forward must be moving and interchanging. They must be breaking lines. We haven't seen any of that yet. So here's hoping that he's learning, because he had over 6 months with us last season. And at the moment, it's no decrying the guy any. It's just fact. At the moment, we've seen no progress at all. So we can only go one way, and that's upwards. So let's hope it starts tomorrow.
AK.
Good comments again for everybody that's in the call tonight. I was just trying to think of something there as slow as. The only thing I could think is Andy Phillips going to the bar. You listening, Andy? I hope you're getting better, my wee pal. But no, it's just it's alarming now. I mean, Beale, all right, this is a new season, but he's not a new manager now. He's had a 6-month kind of honeymoon period there. You know, he was allowed that after Gio left there back in November. So it's more than 6 months. You know, he's had 2 months, best part of 2 months to work with these new players and to implement his system onto them. We're not seeing any fruition of what he's actually looking for. It just seems to me as if he's confusing matters. We're asking them to do things that they're not used to doing. So rather than keeping it simple, that was simple. A lot of it, you know, let the players go out and play, take the shackles off them and let them go out there and express themselves. If we get beat, at least we went down fighting. As Billy says, well, we can take that. There's a manner of accepting a defeat, and that performance on Saturday was not good enough. So just let's go out there and, you know, express ourselves better than what we're doing.
Juicy, I suppose if, you know, obviously we've conceded goals pre-season and obviously we conceded on Saturday, but see if we'd actually managed to score quite, you know, even just score more goals and win the game, you know, like, I think that would have been maybe more acceptable to as a support. You know, we know that there's frailties in the defence, but most teams have. But I think the alarming thing for us, maybe, Juicy, is just the way that we've not really, you know, it's the forward play we've been looking for. And maybe if that starts to kick in, we'll get a lot more confidence and the optimism will return, I think.
Well, this is always the good time to play Rangers, as I said earlier. Start of the season when we're not up to speed. We've seen it so many times before. We've played Champions League qualifiers and it's just too early for us because we've been knocked out, unfortunately, on so many occasions against sides that if we played them later into our season, they are much, much better matches for us. But right now, we're going up against a team that's several games into its top flight league, that they're going to be to a fitness level which, you know, concerns me because some of our players don't look like that. And we know we've got goals in this team, although we've just lost 30 goals, as you were saying earlier, from 2 players. We're not scoring enough goals. We didn't score enough goals last season. We've just taken 30 goals out of the team. That's a concern. It's a big concern. And Fashion Sakala, he put a lot of effort into his play, but let's also admit and acknowledge he missed so many chances, hitting the net, the side net in so many games against Celtic when it was there and those cup managers to put it away. Let's not knock the guy, but, you know, the quality wasn't there at the end of the day. So you're hoping that we've replaced that with a better level of player. If not, this is all going to blow up in the man's face. You know, he's got rid of 2 players that scored goals. We're looking for a little bit more. These guys don't produce. It's going to come back on Beale in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely, Juicy. Well, we've been joined by Smurf. Good evening, Smurf.
How you doing? You okay, Linda?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just going to drop out of the call, but thanks very much for having me, everybody.
Thanks, Billy. Call back again. Thanks for your points. It was good to have you on.
Cheers.
Cheers, Billy.
Hi, Juicy. You okay?
Yes, Smurf, the floor is yours.
Just a sort of couple of observations. The first one is that I'm a bit fed up with it's the new season. We've got to gel, etc., etc. We played a Kilmarnock team that had 8 players making their first team competitive debut for that club at the weekend. And I don't know, it's very hard to come on, you're 1 game into a season and slate everybody and whatever, and I don't want to do that, but I do think I do have concerns going forward. I'm not sure I could never understand sell. I mean, unless the guy wanted to leave, I don't understand the sale of Cholak. I don't know how you can sell goals like that. It's brainless. Hardest thing in football is to score goals, and you've just sold goals. They brought in Lammers, who looked really good. He was one of the plus points for pre-season. Looked really well. Showed up well. And I don't know if he was an alternative to Tillman, but certainly a very similar player. Can't play in the wing, can't really play in midfield. He's a 10, he's a number 10, isn't he? And I think trying to shoehorn Cantwell into a system that accommodates both could nullify both. Certainly if we get through the next round, that PSV team, who it looks like Tillman's going to be joining, you know, I really fear for that. I think if we get ourselves into the Europa League, which we will parachute into, I think we should just be grateful for that. Although that's not the Rangers' way or attitude, I don't really see many upgrades. I mean, I watched Seema and Dessers. I mean, already my dad's nicknamed him Simmet and Drawers. I mean, he said that, you know, he's looking at it and he's saying they're not fit for players. They shouldn't be at Rangers. They're not upgrades, and you can only judge. You're judging them after one game, but no. I think the concerns are really real. And every game that we've got is going to be hard. Nobody likes us. We don't care. We've got 2 games at Pittodrie, 2 Easter Road, 2 at Tynecastle. I've got to go back to Rugby Park. I've got to go to Livingston twice. You know, it's just going to be the same old. And I hope I'm wrong, but I don't have a good feeling going forward. I don't know what you're thinking, especially about the point where Lammers and Cantwell is concerned.
Yeah, Smurf, we've got, see the next, I know we're taking one game at a time, but the next 6 games we've got 4 at Ibrox, and you know there can be no excuses really. You know, the stadium's there, the pitch is there for them, the fans will be behind them, and I don't know, but I mean, I talking to family about it, and we were saying that by the time we get to the Celtic game, we'll probably know a lot more about the team, and I know even that's early doors, but that might give us a bit of an inclination, Smurf, in terms of how this team are going to gel and how they're going to be going forward.
Yeah, and undoubtedly we're going to. I think we'll find out all we need to know in the next month.
Yeah,
but there's just so many things that are concerning, because the guys that have come in, if they do click, and we do seem to find a shape or a system that's working and it's successful, we're still lacking in other areas. I mean, we need a left-handed centre half. Borner's run his course, Tab's run his course, and that, you know, is people get emotional. They see the goals, they look at stats. They don't always tell a story, and you know, nobody talks about the start of Tab's been captain for 7 seasons, 21 domestic trophies he's competed for, and a European final and won 2. There's a problem there, obviously, and you know, as I say, Borner's run his course. That young lad, the other left back, Yilmaz, he's 5'5". You know, he's a defender. What are you going to do? You're going to put him on the post. Who's he picking up at a corner kick? He's too lightweight. He goes in for a tackle, and one of the pre-season games, and loses a tackle in the box, a tackle that he should have won. He's too small, he's too lightweight. So I think even next season, the majority of the defence needs rebuilt. You're going to need a right back, 2 left backs, and a hand-sided centre half as a minimum. There's a lot of problems. A lot of stuff's not been addressed, and I don't think what we've brought in is an upgrade in anything, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think the two best signings he's made, for what I've seen, are the two lads that he brought in January. And so I don't want. It sounds like, you know, an overreaction sort of thing, but I'm just being honest. I'm just saying what I see and what my gut feeling is. I think the coaches that have come in to back him are old guys, you know, who have had their heyday in the past. One at Chelsea, one at Arsenal, and he's a rookie coach. It's his second season as a manager, and he walks about and sort of this kind of arrogant air of he's all over it. He's done nothing in the game. He's a youth coach. He's done well. Done nothing as a player. Done nothing as a manager. And yeah, I'm sceptical to say the least.
Blue Star, I suppose from a fan's perspective, the board have put their faith in Michael Beale and also the backroom team that he's brought in. I take the point that Smurth's making there, because there's been lots of chat from the fans about the background of these guys, etc. But I suppose we have to give them enough time that we can make a proper judgment, because let's face it, Blue Star, if they're not successful, then they won't last.
Wonder, that's the big problem. Smurth, quite frankly, is just saying exactly what we've all been saying and thinking. MD is thinking anything else, is kidding ourselves on. We have seen no positivity, and we know it's only been pre-season. But can you imagine the despondency if he hadn't brought these guys in even as soon as what he did? That is even more alarming, because from game to game, we never seen any positives, Linda. And then he kept telling us game after game, but we'll be ready for Kilmarnock, we'll be ready for Kilmarnock. And look what happened, we were worse. And it's not being despondent, we can only call it as we see it. We can only hope that he has got he's got something up his sleeve, and he does know what he's doing, because at the moment, any has been truthful, we have seen nothing. And it's not been despondent, it's been actually factual, because you said it yourself, Linda, he kept telling us he was bringing in speed, mobility and goals. We've not had a forward scoring a goal yet. We've had Lammers scoring one, but he's not even a striker. So that's got to change, and if it doesn't change, the alarming thing as well, we all knew that the four games of this month, especially in the league, for me, they were very favourable, Linda, because I honestly thought we were going to get hit with Pittodrie or something in the first game. We didn't. Okay, we know what happened at Kelly. But the next two are at Ibrox, and we should be rolling over them. You've then got them at the end of the month. Now, with all intents and purposes, we were looking for a minimum 12 points out of 12 there. That's already gone. So he only has one option. He's got to take the next 9. At the moment, can we see it? No, we definitely can't. We can only hope that tomorrow night they go out and they at least play for that jersey. They have to. They certainly have to, because our fans will go. The despondency in the fans in Linda, it's there for everybody to see. We've seen nothing so far. So hopefully it can only go better. But we've all got our doubts.
Yeah. Bob, Jen, what are you hoping to see tomorrow night?
Well, I'm hoping to see us come out in the park, play well, and beat this team, obviously. We've seen so many European ties over the years, but again, we keep the boys keep mentioning this word, despondency. And that's exactly what it is. That's where we're at. And we've got to remove the despondency and go and turn it into a season full of hope, because we can't hide what we suffered last year, watching them running around with trebles. We're on a precipice, so they're going to make records that will never be broken, Linda. And we've got to stop this. We're Rangers, for Christ's sake. We must stop this. I think the job's too big for this man, Beale. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's a manager at the level of a club like Glasgow Rangers. What do you think of that, young boys and girls?
Just get a wee message from Fox there. He says he's feeling a wee bit depressed, but he still loves everyone.
He still loves everybody. Well, you love him at all. But the thing is, Linda, we all love the Rangers, and we want to see this getting better. And the outlook anyway is just no good, eh?
Yeah. Bob, Gerald, I mean, I think you're right. And I'll take this back to Smurf. Smurf, I just think it was the manner in which we performed on Saturday. I mean, obviously the pre-season wasn't the best, but there was some okay football and we managed to score a few goals. I mean, not every team has brilliant pre-seasons, but I think it was maybe just the manner in which we performed on Saturday, Smurf, that probably knocked the stuffing out of us a bit.
Well, I think we were outfought. I think it keeps going on about we played the same shape as last year. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at that shape. Sometimes I don't even know what it is. Other times it looks like it's a 4-2-2-2. So and I was thinking, what? That we gave up all the width. Then it looks like it's a diamond at the top of the park. Then it looks like a diamond in midfield. And then you just think, do you know what? Do you know what this reminds me of? Can you remember when they brought in John Barnes and he was talking about his Christmas trees? Honestly,
don't say that, Smurf.
Honestly, I get the same emotional response in my body, but this time I'm cringing and no laughing. That's how it makes me feel. I'm just being honest.
Juicy, I'll bring you in there. Do you think it reminds you of John Barnes?
He loses against Servette and Celtic. He won't be here at Christmas.
AK?
Oh, I'm so glad I came on this cheery show tonight. Thanks for cheering me. I totally get my
You're going on holiday, AK. You're all right.
I'm throwing myself out of that plane.
Alex, the thing about Alex, you had to do that post-match show on Saturday, and I said to you at the beginning before we come on here that we weren't going to dwell on the game at the weekend. So, Alex, tell us what you're looking to see tomorrow night. Come on, tell us, give us something positive.
I'm looking for players to fill that jersey and go out there and show why they're at our club. You know, we've got a manager sitting on the bench here. He doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Players take responsibility. I mean, when did that ever come? Get lost in the game, you know. Billy said earlier there, Beale is a coach. That's his background. He's a coach. He's only been a manager for, I think it's 50 games now, between QPR and us. So he's learning on the job. He's at a big, massive club to do that. So you've got to be able to manage players as well as coach them. Man management. I mean, like say, you name the greatest managers that we've had in history. They weren't great coaches, but what they were, Brian Clough, for example, brilliant man manager. He made players feel $1 million. They went out and burst through a wall for them. That's the sort of spirit you need to implement into these players. Then make them play for you. Make them go that extra yard. Put a bit of urgency in their play. For me, I listened to the show last night with Robert and everybody with Southside. Mark Warburton had Davy Weir as his assistant. That was back in 2016, I think it was. 7 years. We went through Caixinha, Murty, Gerrard, Gio. We've now got Michael Beale. We have not had a former Rangers player in our dressing room, you know, voicing that concern over to the players. See, when they're not doing their job, even Dick Advocaat, when he came to the club, he actually joined Greg in that dressing room with him just for somebody to lean on, but also recognise, you know, he's a club legend. He's going to be the guy that's going to drive his thoughts through to these players. Why are we not addressing that? We have got numerous players out there, former players, coaches, guys who can instill that into our players when they're not doing their job properly. Tell them, because Jimmy Bell used to do that. Jimmy Bell's unfortunately passed away, coming up in 2 years now. We've still not addressed it, and that's a problem for me. Michael Beale must sort that as well.
Do you think that's a factor in your opinion?
I think there's so many things that Mr. Beale needs to address. I just need to see something that can dispel everything that I've said earlier tonight. And please don't think I was being negative. That was just factual, what several of the guys here have said tonight and myself regarding last season's performances, both under Gio and then into Beale. And that figure of that many managers since 2016, no solidity. I mean, do we always need a Rangers man in the club? Yes, I think you do. I think you need someone who's got that ability to pass on the knowledge and history of a club and have some level of continuity as well. And Michael Beale should actually be that guy because he's been there over 2 stints now. But he doesn't. He talks a good game, but it hasn't really put it into the pitch yet. And he's also contradicted himself a lot of times in a lot of press conferences. He needs to do some talking on the pitch now because I don't want to see him gone by Christmas. I know I said that a moment ago, but the truth is if he does lose those 2 big games this month, he's going to be under massive pressure. Not so much from me and people on the show, but a lot of the fans will be very, very upset. As you said, 4 home games this month. We need to win those now.
Yeah. Blue Star, I would suggest that they take the players, the team over at the museum and show them the history of the club. And I don't know if you've had a chance to go over Blue Star, but it's fantastic. And you look at the history, you look at the trophies that have been won, and it's time for Rangers to get back to those sort of winning ways.
Well, as Smurf and everybody else, and AK especially, has just said, Linda, our history matters to us, and it can go this season. That's the scary thought, and that's how the despondency is even worse, because we thought we were going to see passages of play and forward-thinking players and scoring goals, and we've not seen it yet. Yes, there's only been 1 league game, but we produced nothing. So tomorrow night especially, it's a European tie. Listen, if he wants the fans off his back, then he's got to get the players moving. They've got to pass and move. There's got to be passages of play, and boy, oh boy, there's got to be goals. Linda, you said a wee thing there 10 minutes ago there. If you're going to let in 2 goals, you get away with it as long as you score 3 or 4 or 5. That mob across the city have never had a decent defence for years, but they're scoring more goals than everybody else. So that's how we lost last year. Now remember, we only ended up losing by 7 points. We've lost 3 straight away in our first game. So if you take that in a lot of averages, you're not going to. You can't afford to lose 2, 3, 4 games. Gio get the bullet for losing 9 points out of 9 points out of 12. So let's carry on in this myth about he'll get loads of time. No, he won't. Our fans will demand, especially this season, because there's too much at stake. So he's got to get them firing. He's had time with them, and if the players aren't going to do it for him, then it's only going to end one way, and we hope that's not the case. But it's looking that way now. But they must go out tomorrow night. They must go forward, and they must produce goals. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Linda, can I come in as well there?
Sure, another point to that.
There's a situation where we think we've had a rebuild of brought 9 players in and all this stuff. See, next season, Tav needs to go.
Yeah.
The 2 left backs need to go. We need to replace our left-hand side centre half. And we also, Jack's off and Lundstrom's finished as well. And Roof. So that's another 7 or 8 players that you need to bring in, and that needs to be funded, and that only comes for success in Europe.
Yeah.
So the reality is, where it's went wrong, the rebuild this year, Gio should have got there. That should have been done earlier. This was under the park, and I know there was financial fair play issues and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, we're chasing our tail here, and you know, see the quote, Tav, I'm in the land of the giants. He's brought a lot of big, tall guys in. What it hasn't brought in is physicality. They don't seem physically. There's no aggression about them. Cantwell seems to get it, and he tries to get stuck in, but it's not really his game. And he's picking because he can't tackle. He's getting bookings all the time. He's booked nearly every other game, and the boys ask him. He doesn't like it. He's running about. Kelly throwing his arms, looking at the ref. How am I not getting free kicks? Well, it's Skeechy Peachy. It's one way. Welcome to Scottish football, son. You know, you're taking some and you're losing some, and that's just it. And he let the game flow. I thought he for a good game. And no, I think there's a lot of guys that aren't up to speed. They're tall, they're not physical. Lammers is a big sand dancer, good player. He's technically good, and that's it. He's got an idealistic view of a football player. They're all technically gifted. If you notice, they're all these number 10 types, and touch and go, and all the rest of it. Well, unfortunately, you need a wee bit more than that. You need a mix, and I just think his background as a youth coach is he's using that experience and taking that philosophy, if you like, and trying to implement it as manager of Glasgow Rangers. And if he does that, he'll be lucky to make it at Christmas. Because you need people.
The boy I love Rangers. The boy I love Rangers. The club made for me and for you. I went to the ground with my father. Since then I have followed on too. And now I am older and wiser. The passion still runs through and through. I make sure my sons and my daughters still defend the red, white and blue. Here we go. Na 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 na.
There you go, huh?
Oh, well.
Brilliant, thanks.
Yeah, brilliant. That's put a smile on her face.
Well, guys, we've reached that time of the evening. I was going to ask everybody for a score prediction, so I'll just get round you quickly. Blue Star.
As long as we score more than them with a couple of goals, we'll all be happy.
Excellent, love it. Bob, J?
Well, I'll take a 1-0 one. There you go. I feel we can do it out of two legs, right?
Smurf? No, I think he might have gone. AK?
I think Servette will score, and I'm hoping we score too.
2-1. Juicy?
Yeah. Any kind of 2-goal lead. So if that's a 2-0 or a 3-1, I think we need to take a 2-goal lead. As from any home game in the first leg of a European game, 1 goal, makes it really difficult because the other team's more than in it. You need that 2-goal margin. And I think we're good enough, and we have to be.
Yeah, well said, Juicy. So Blue Star, thanks for your call. Nice to hear from you.
Linda, what's your end prediction?
I'm going for 3-0 Rangers. I'm taking Danilo for a double and Cantwell.
Good for you, mate.
Come on, Rangers. Good night, Bob Jet.
Good night, Linda. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, Blue Star.
Thank you.
Thanks to Smurf as well. I think he might have already left. And thanks to Spanish Billy, who called in earlier as well. And thanks to you, Juicy.
Thank you very much indeed, Linda. And thank you, everyone else, for joining in tonight. Let's see how we get on tomorrow. Happy days. And Juicy's going to be there. Come on.
Well, hey, AK.
Oh, thanks for having us tonight, Linda. Enjoyed that. Good discussions tonight. Come on, the Rangers.
Cheers, AK. Can I thank everybody that called in, and can also thank the guys for doing the technicals. Great job tonight, Fox and Old School Blue. Can I thank everybody for listening? Rangers Radio will be back tomorrow night with a pre-match show before the big European campaign kicks off. Come on, Rangers, get the job done. Good night, everybody.